as the saying goes, or the idea goes, I feel like there's a saying that I'm forgetting, but it's important to enjoy the little things in life. And there was a couple little things from today that I especially enjoyed personally. The first being the Vietnamese iced coffee with ube from a place whose name I can't remember. It's about half a mile from Nationals Park here. Never had that combination of flavors, and while I can get into, as someone who's Filipino, as someone that was also an Asian American Studies major, I could get into the ubeification, the matchification of everything, and the whole rabbit hole to go down there, but I'm honestly a sucker for those types of things. And the second thing was the fact that this ball game started with Jake Irvin's walkout song, which was Goodies by Sierra featuring Petey Pablo. And I'm a sucker for a good walkout song. I think a good walkout song can really set the tone for the afternoon, regardless of how it unfolds. See Tim Lincecum with Electric Feel. I remember when I was covering the Pirates, Jose Quintana used Mueve Mami, which that was always fun. That that first 1 second when that song started to play. And so I've always been a fan of that song. It is the most non-Bay Area song to exist, in my opinion. Shayna Rubin also just wrote a story about the walk-up/walk-out songs that the Giants use. Go give that a read as well. But enough as far as the little things in life that I'm personally enjoying. But the Giants lose today 3-0. They are now 30-22 on the season. And the big story of today is that Kyle Harrison, as we mentioned yesterday, made his first start of the season. His first start since April 30th with AAA Sacramento. And he was never expected to go that deep into today's game. Manager Bob Melvin said on Friday that his pitch count was tentatively around the 60 pitch mark. He ended up throwing 57 pitches today, and on the 12th pitch of his outing today, the Giants found themselves in a deficit that they would never be able to dig themselves out of, as after Ahmed Rosario hit a 110-mile-an-hour double with 1 out in the first inning, James Wood, who infamously does not pull fly balls, pulled a fly ball into the Nationals dugout into the Nationals bullpen for a 2-run homer, giving the Nationals an early 2-0 lead again that they would never lose. But following that 2-run homer, Harrison was able to compose himself. He was able to get through innings 2, 3, and 4 without allowing a run the rest of the way. Did get into a little bit of trouble in the 4th inning when he found himself with runners on first and second with 1 out, but was able to escape that inning unscathed. And even going back to the first inning, it was especially impressive that he was able to get through 4 innings on the pitch count, given that in the first inning he needed to throw 23 pitches. And we've talked a lot about velocity with Harrison, and obviously the velocity was never going to be quite it was when he was a reliever, given that he had to pitch further into today's game. But he did average 94.7 miles per hour on his four-seam fastball, again, down from the 95.8 he was averaging as a reliever, but that's 2 miles per hour higher compared to last year when he was averaging 92.5 miles per hour. As far as the Giants' offense, they weren't able to do anything against the Nationals' Jake Irvin, who went 8 scoreless innings, had 7 strikeouts. The only real opportunity they had was in the top of the 4th inning when they had runners on first and second with no outs, but Matt Chapman grounded into a double play. Willie Adames struck out, and that was the end of that. And in the latter half of his outing as well, Irvin benefited from 2 really quick innings in the 6th and 7th. In the 6th, he only needed to throw 5 pitches. In the 7th, he only needed to throw 4 pitches. That enabled him to pitch into the 8th inning and match the longest outing of his career. And then Jorge Lopez entered in the 9th inning, shut the door on the Giants, and now they enter Sunday with 1 game apiece in this series, looking to win the series. Another note on Harrison, coming back to Harrison. As I mentioned yesterday, he was guaranteed to start today. He's guaranteed at least 1 more start as Justin Verlander recovers from the right pectoral injury. But following that, again, it is kind of ambiguous as to what Harrison's role is going to be once Verlander returns from the injured list, I think the most logical course of action is he just returns to the bullpen. But looking on kind of a grander scale or like a more macro view, it is going to be interesting how Harrison's distribution of games started versus games relieved ends up looking as the summer rolls along. And if Verlander's healthy and he's able to return after missing the 2 starts and everything kind of progresses as normal, again, you can't really guarantee anything as far as injuries, either with Verlander or with the rest of the rotation. It looks like Harrison's probably going to end up having to throw more relief appearances than starts, just kind of mapping out how this year is going to look for him. But again, you can't truly predict what the summer is going to look like. Injuries happen, underperformance happens. You never know quite what's going to happen for Harrison. So he is going to get the 1 guaranteed start probably during the Giants series against the Marlins in Miami. But from that, we will go from there. And one final thing to end on is prior to this game, I published a story on Camilo Doval, who I mentioned yesterday is now up to 19 consecutive scoreless outings. It is the longest such stretch of his major league career. Talked about the human element of him returning to Nationals Park, as I mentioned yesterday, given that last year he allowed the 3 earned runs and it was his last outing before being demoted, but also got into some of the mechanical stuff, some of the things that are different this year compared to last year.